I don't know if you struggle praying for your friends as often as you pray for yourself. I know I do, and I'm going to show you why praying for others is not just a good practice, but is an important biblical practice that is very powerful. I'm going to use 7 examples in the Bible of people who prayed for others and the impact that you can learn. In the book of Job, chapter 42, the backstory is that Job had undergone so much suffering in his life, and then some 3 of his friends who were with him had been with him were telling him that God has forsaken him. Then they left him feeling so bad that he questioned God, like why was God making him go through those things? Then when God answered him, he realized he was not even worthy to ask God of why he was going through that. Then even the friends angered God by the statements which they were telling Job. And then after Job repented and told God, I'm sorry, I questioned you because you're mighty more than I can understand. God met also the friends of Job and told them, you have done wrong in my sight. You have said the wrong things. Go back to John, offer him, what was it? Offer him some offerings of some rams and some bullocks, and the offering of Job on their behalf would have been accepted. Then after the friends went back to to Job, and Job prayed for him. It was at that moment that after Job prayed for his friends that he was restored. You can read it in the book of Job, chapter 42, verses 10. It says, and the Lord restored the fortunes of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. It's funny that when the Bible points out that it's after Jonah had prayed for his friends that he was restored, we can learn that you may think you're praying on behalf of someone else, but your restoration, the answer to your prayer lies on you praying for on behalf of someone else. You see? So now Job, after he prayed for his friends, immediately he was restored. He had 10 children before, and the 10 of them died. Then God restored them. He also had 10 more new kids, more wealth than he had before. And all of this, the Bible points out, it's not at the moment when he repented to God. It's at the time when Job prayed for his friends that God restored him. So the first lesson I learned is that sometimes the answers to our prayers lies on us praying for someone else. The second person we're going to discuss today is Abraham. This story is found in the book of Genesis. So I'm going to give you a backstory of what happened. In this book of Genesis chapter 18, to paraphrase it, what had happened is that Abraham was at his house just relaxing, and then he saw 3 men who stood by him. Then he told them, no, 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 you're not going to pass without coming into my house. At least come and have a little water and wash your feet. Then when he told them that, it's like Abraham noticed that one of them, here it is written, verses 3, and said, now Abraham was saying this, my Lord, if now I have found favor in your sight, pass not away, I pray you, from your servant. My Lord is written in capital L. I feel like this is one of those times in the Old Testament where Abraham met Jesus. You remember when he met him as the Prince of Peace, as Melchizedek? I think this is also another time where Abraham met Jesus, because here it's written Lord. So he told them, don't go without coming to my house. So these 3 men came. One of them was, he kept on referring to him as capital L. Then that's the time when one of them asked him, where is your wife? Then he's like, Abraham was like, she's in the kitchen preparing for you some food. Then the Lord told Abraham, I'm going to restore to you your years. Your wife is going to get pregnant. And then Sarah then she laughed, saying, how will I have pleasure even at an old age? Then the Lord now, I have my belief is that it is Jesus, because of how it is he keeps on being referred to as Lord with capital L. Then when Sarah was told, why are you laughing, she was like, me, I didn't laugh. Then the Lord told her, no, yes, you laughed. And then after they had eaten and relaxed with Abraham a bit and talked with Sarah, the three men who were strangers, one of them being Jesus, in my opinion, but let's say the Lord, one of them stood up and they looked towards Sodom. Then Abraham, like a good host, he was like, I'll walk you a little bit. The Lord said, shall I really hide what I'm about to do from Abraham? And you know that he's going to be a great man, and many nations will be saved through him. So he was like, no, I'm not going to hide this from Abraham. And then now the Lord told Abraham, Genesis chapter 18 verses 20, and the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grave, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry which has come unto me, and if not, I will know. So he was like, there's something bad I'm about to go and do in Sodom, because their sin is a lot. And then after the Lord said that, you remember there were three men who were walking with Abraham. The two men walked towards Sodom. And if we go back in front, we can see the story of Lot, where the angels who had been sent to go and save Lot were found desirable by the men of Sodom and Gomorrah. So now those are like the two angels who had already eaten in Abraham's house, who had now been sent to go to Sodom and save Lot. But now when the two angels, let's just say the two strangers, went towards Sodom, Abraham remained with the Lord. In my opinion, as a Bible student, it is like a part where Jesus appeared in the Old Testament. Now, when Abraham remained with the Lord, he asked them, will you destroy Sodom if you find 50 righteous people? Then the Lord told him, no, if I find 50 righteous people, I will spare the whole city for the sake of the 50 righteous people. Then Abraham realized, oh, I can now negotiate. So he says, I have not taken upon it myself to talk with the Lord. Then he reduced the number to 45 and asked him, if you find 45 people in Sodom, will you destroy the whole city and there are still 45 righteous people? Then the Lord told him, no, I won't destroy. Then he said, what about if there are 40 people who are righteous in Sodom? Then he said, no, the Lord told him, no, if I find 40 people who are righteous in Sodom, I'm not going to destroy the whole city for their sake. Then he told him, now he realized he's negotiating with, the Lord, capital L. He's like, don't be angry for me talking like this, but what if you find 30 people? Will you still destroy the city with 30 righteous people in it? Then the Lord said, no, if I find 30 righteous people, the city won't be destroyed just because of these 30 righteous people. What if you find 20 righteous people? Will you still destroy the city? Then he's like, no, for the sake of the righteous, if I find 20 people, I'm not going to destroy. Then he said, oh Lord, don't be angry if I continue talking like this, but I'll just say this last thing. What if you find 10 people? Then the Lord said, no, if I find 10 righteous people, for the sake of those 10 righteous people, I'm not going to destroy. Abraham negotiating with the Lord you could call it prayer, because prayer is literally talking to God. So for the sake of Sodom and Gomorrah, we see Abraham praying for the people there. And I feel like if he knew that there are no 10 people who are righteous in that city, he would have asked the Lord, what if there was one person, knowing that his cousin, his friend Lot was there? He probably would have continued telling him, don't be angry if I ask you this again. If I reduce the number from 10 to 1, will you not destroy the city? And probably the Lord would not have. But because he stopped at 10, you see, at the end of it all, yes, the city of Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. That's because there are no 10 righteous people. But what we learned from his negotiation with the Lord, that is what I will call prayer. Because it's capital Lord. The Lord. I just consider it to be Jesus. God is willing to relent from like punishing people for the sake of a few, or when we ask him. So it's like You can even bring salvation for your friends if you ask God for mercy on their behalf. Like God will hear you. Like if you remember the story of Jesus on the cross, when those people are mocking him, telling him, if you are the Son of God, you saved others, why are you not saving yourself? Jesus, if he wanted, if he didn't say, forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they're doing, I wonder what would have happened to those people. Then we see the people who were mocking Jesus, they were not struck by lightning. The armies of heaven didn't come and kill them all. Jesus said, forgive them, Father, because they don't know what they're doing. So that's the same thing. We learn from Abraham that you can actually negotiate for the mercy of someone else through prayer as you talk to God. Another story is the story of Esther. It's found in the book of Esther chapter 4. Again, I'll just give a backstory. So there's a man called Haman who had sent word that the Jews were supposed to be killed, and Esther was a Jew and his uncle Mordecai was a Jew. So when Mordecai heard that Jews are going to be killed, he wore sackcloth and went to the king's palace. He couldn't, because no one was allowed to enter the king's palace with a sackcloth. Then Esther was told, your uncle Mordecai, he has been seen in the city crying, and now he's on the gate of the king's palace. So Esther sent one of the maid servants to go and ask Mordecai what has happened, why are you crying, and here are better clothes for you to wear, don't wear those ones that you have with ashes and a sackcloth. Then Mordecai refused to wear it. Then the maid servant came and told Esther, your uncle has refused to wear it. Then Mordecai told the maid servant of Esther, there's an amount that Haman has given to the treasuries of the king to kill the Jews. Tell Esther to try and talk to the king for us. Maybe we as the Jews can be saved if she goes and talks to the king on our behalf. Then Esther said, no one is allowed to just go and meet the king in his inner court if he hasn't called you. And if you go into the inner court of the king and he hasn't called you, there's only one law: you're supposed to be killed. So it's going to be a bit hard for me to go and speak to the king on your behalf. So from here we learn that Esther went into a fast, not because she needed anything specific from the king. She went into a fast knowing, I'm going to meet the king not for personal pleasure or benefit, but I'm going to go and plead the case of the Jews in front of the king. You see, he went before the king after even her and her maid servants, they fasted. And then by the time came, and all the Jews on their part were also fasting, when the time came and she took herself into the king's palace, he stretched out his hand and she was favored. She was not killed. Actually, the king ended up telling her, anything you want, I'll do for you. And yet she had sent herself there. And to cut the long story short, the Jews end up being saved because she took it upon herself to intercede for them. In front of the king, she interceded for them. In front of God, she pleaded with God for favor. She fasted for the sake of the Jews, and they end up being saved because only Esther could have been able to influence the decision of the king. And we see the Jews ending up to fight for their lives, but they end up winning and they get saved, mostly because Esther interceded for them. We also see in the New Testament, in a lot of Paul's writing, where he prays for the churches, he prays for them, he even thanks God in their remembrance, he prays for his friend. So we learn that it's good for the people we love, for our communities, for the churches. It's very important for us to pray for others. If Jesus prayed, if Paul, the person who saw Jesus face to face, prayed, then we then are supposed to pray for each other. Another person who interceded for the sake of others is found in the book of Matthew chapter 8. This is where a centurion, he was in the city of Capernaum, went to Jesus and told him. I'll read Matthew chapter 8 from verse 5 to 6. And when Jesus had entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion, beseeching him, and saying, Lord, My servant lies at home, sick, a paralytic, grievously tormented. And Jesus said unto him, I will come and heal him. Then the centurion ending up telling Jesus, no, I know you have authority. I'm a man of authority. I usually tell this person, go, and they go. I can tell someone else, come, and they come. Because I understand your authority. Though he didn't say the word, because I understand your authority. He just said, me, I understand people who have authority don't really have to go somewhere. The word carries a big weight. Verse 8 says, the centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that you should come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. Then Jesus said, I haven't seen such great faith. Yeah, this centurion man has so much great faith that he just said, my servant is sick, just say a word. I'm not worthy for you to come into my place. And for him to say, I'm here on behalf of my servant, that's a form of prayer. That's a form of intercession. When you understand that prayer and intercession is just talking to God. Prayer is just telling God what is happening. Just talking to him like you would a friend. We understand at this moment the centurion was praying for the healing of his servant. Verse 13 it says, and Jesus said unto the centurion, go your way, and as you have believed, so be it done unto you. And his servant was healed the same hour. When you have faith on behalf of somebody else, for them, when you have faith in God, not faith in them, faith in God, when you pray for someone else, then you can end up actually affecting their life in a good way. Let's say your friend is sick, like the servant of the centurion. You have faith that they're going to be healed. You take it to God in prayer. You can even cause your friend to be healed by your faith in knowing that your God is a God who heals. You understand? So when you have a friend who's going through something and you know God, you know the power of God, maybe you should take that leap of faith and actually pray for them, because praying for others actually work. When someone tells you, Brother, I'm going through a lot, please remember me in prayer. Don't just say I will and then you don't pray. If you know you're going to forget later, I would rather you just go, even if it's to the washroom or just somewhere by yourself, and mention your friend's name in prayer, knowing that your God hears and answers prayer. And sometimes the people who we're praying for could be in a situation where they are unable to pray. Like someone who's sick, for example, the pain, the anguish in their body may have overtaken their mind, but when you pray in faith, you can cause other people to be healed. Of Acts also, we hear the story of such a miraculous thing that happened because of prayer. Like when I read this, I was like, what? That happened in the Bible. In Acts chapter 12, Herod the king, you remember, had killed one of the disciples with a sword. So one of the disciples had been killed with a sword. Then he saw that one of his disciples called James being killed, made the people happy. So he was like, okay, I'll go look for the next one. Then he found Peter and he put him into prison, saying, now I'm also going to deliver him to the people. I'm going to kill him so that I can make these people happy. But what happened was that when he had taken Peter, it was the day of the Passover. And the Jews really kept the Passover. So Peter was not able to be killed on that day. They were like, let him stay in the prison. Once the Passover is over, I'm going to hand him to the people, From verse 4 to 5. And when he had apprehended him, now he had taken Peter, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 squads of soldiers to keep him, intending after Passover to bring him forth to the people. Peter therefore was kept in prison, but prayer was made without ceasing of the church unto God for him. So once Peter was taken into prison, the church started praying to God for him. You know how Peter, before this, he could heal so many people. His shadow would heal people. He raised up the crippled man on the door called Beautiful. And then when he was praised, he was like, no, it's not me, it's Jesus Christ. So he was very loud about Jesus. So when the church heard that he's been taken to prison, they started interceding for him. This is the funny part of the story. As the church was interceding for him, Peter was busy sleeping. Now the time is before, just before the next day when he was supposed to be handed over to the people. I feel like Peter had given up. He was just tired knowing now my fate is sealed. My brother James has just been killed. Now I'll just sleep. You understand? He was in, it's weird. So the church was praying for him. Let me read. Verse 7 says, "And behold, the angel of the Lord came upon him, and a light shined in the prison, and he struck Peter on the side." So like, there was light, the angel came physically to prison, and then so that you can know it was a physical angel, not spiritually in the dream like John says I was in the spirit. No, it was in this physical realm. It says the angel struck Peter because Peter was asleep. He physically made a contact with him and told him, "Arise up quickly." And when he was told, "Arise up quickly," his chain fell. You remember he was already bound with chains by the soldiers. And the angel said unto him, "Guide yourself and bind your sandals." And so he did. And he said unto him, "Cast your garment about you and follow me." So he's like, "Wear your clothes, wear your shoes, dress up yourself and just follow me." And he went out and followed him. So Peter followed the angel and knew not that it was true which was done by the angels, but thought he saw a vision. So he thought he was seeing a vision because in the book of Acts he kept on seeing visions. So he thought this is one of those visions that he was seeing. When they were past the first and the second guard, they came unto the iron gate that led unto the city, which opened to them of its own accord. So when they left the prison, the doors would open on their own, imagine. And they went out and passed through one street, and immediately the angel departed from him. So after they went out through the gate that would lead into the city, the door of the city opened by itself, and Peter entered, and the angel disappeared. That's when Peter realized, oh my goodness, the angel just came and set me loose. It's not a vision, it just happened like in the physically, in reality. We went to the house of one of the believers, the mother of John, where the people are praying. So that this is a result of prayer. These people are still praying for him, knowing tomorrow our Peter is gone. So he went there, and when he went and knocked on the door, one of the girls who was in that house heard the voice of Peter and recognized that it was Peter. She didn't even open the door. She went back and told the people, Peter is on the door, at the door. These people Peter you're praying for to be loosed, he's at the door. Then they told her, no, you must be mad. He's going to, he's already in Herod's prison. Then she's like, no, I'm sure it's him. Then they said, it must be an angel, then it can't be Peter. And imagine, it's like when you pray for something and then God gives you exactly what you're praying for. And then you're like, no, this can't be real. You prayed for it, you asked for it. They were busy praying for Peter to be released from prison. And then now that he's been released, they're here thinking it's an angel. The girl they couldn't believe how fast God can answer their prayer. Then they went to the door, and when they saw it was him, they were so shocked. It's funny, the exact prayer they were praying happened, and they couldn't believe. So they were shocked. Then Peter told them, no, hold your peace. And then he narrated how everything happened. I wonder what would have happened if they didn't pray for Peter, because Peter was sleeping. I wonder if the angel would have been sent to go save Peter, or he would have finished his mission on earth. But then we see these people standing in the gap for Peter, and the answer specifically was sent for Peter, and Peter ended up being rescued. And after he talked to them, he went on his own to another place. He didn't stay with them, but we see that their prayer affected him being saved. So it's very serious. If you read it, there's salvation in the spiritual sense. There is physically, like someone can see Peter physically, he was saved. So I wonder what would happen if, when your friend is sick, but you decide, I will tarry, I'm going to pray for you, maybe the answer will be sent. You understand? Think about Lazarus. He was dead. Jesus went and prayed. Lazarus didn't pray for himself, please don't let me die. Jesus prayed and he was resurrected. Exodus chapter 32 from verse 9 to 14. The backstory is Moses had gone up to meet with God. Then he tarried. He stayed there for long until these people of Israel went back to the former ways, where in Egypt they had seen people worshipping gods for themselves. So they told Aaron, We don't know where Moses has gone. Make for us a god that we may worship. Then Aaron told them, go take your jewelry for gold from your children, from your wives, and bring them to me. Then when Aaron was given those jewelry, he made for themselves a golden image of a calf. Then he told them, this is not going to be your God. Then when Moses was up there, God told him, Exodus chapter 32 verses 9, it says, the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may grow hot against them, that I may consume them, and will make you a great nation. God was like, I'm going to consume these people. I'm going to destroy all of them, but you, I'm going to make you into a great nation. Until God, remember Abraham, remember Isaac. Please don't destroy them. This was when you're still in the mountain. Verses 14. And the Lord turned from the evil which he thought to do unto his people, because Moses interceded for them. But later on, we see Moses coming down the mountain. Then when he just came down, he saw the people who had dressed, let's just say, skimpily. When he saw the people worshipping the golden image, he broke the 10 commandments. We all know how Moses had a temper. Exodus chapter 30. And it came to pass on the next day that Moses said unto the people, you have sinned a great sin. Now I will go up unto the Lord, perhaps I will make an atonement for your sin. And Moses returned unto the Lord and said, all these people have sinned a great sin, and have made gods of gold. Yet now, if you will forgive their sin, and if not, blot me, I pray you, out of your book which you have written. And the Lord said unto Moses, whosoever has sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book. Therefore now, go, lead the people unto the place of which I have spoken unto you. Behold, my angel shall go before you. Nevertheless, in the day when I visit, I will visit their sin upon them. So you see, he went and interceded to God until it's like, I feel like it's a blackmail. He's like, if please don't, I know they have done a great sin, please forgive them. And if you can't forgive them, even remove my name from the book of life. That's serious intercession. I don't think the grace for me to intercede with my afterlife on behalf of someone else. I feel like, you know, those kind of graces are available to very few people, like Moses, like Jesus, but me, okay, nothing can be changed about Jesus. He's the Son of God, you know, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. I'm saying, in a human capacity, I feel like only Moses would do that. I pray I never be in that situation where I'm negotiating for someone's life to the extent of your name being written in the book of life. But we see God who is a just God, who's a righteous God, who's full of mercy. He didn't blot out his name. He just told him, I'm not going to blot out his name, but they're going to get the repercussions of the action. The chapter ends by saying, and the Lord plagued the people because they made a calf which Aaron made. So a plague came upon the people, and yes, they suffered a bit because of making the golden image. But we see God not destroying them, because the immediate repercussion, we see God had said, I'm going to destroy all of them, and I'll just start with you, and I'm going to make you once in a generation great. But we see in the end that the only repercussion they got was a plague, and that because a man called Moses interceded. We ask God for the grace to intercede for other people with as much as, you know, we have interceded for ourselves. You had people saying it's the prayer of your mother that has gotten you to where you are. That's true. Those who may not have parents, someone interceded for you. It's this, when people say someone must have prayed for you somewhere, that is the truth. Maybe not become that person who prays for other people, and know that there is power in that. That's becoming a Jesus follower, because clearly Jesus did that for them. In our next episode, by the grace of God, we're going to talk about fasting, why it's hard, why we should do it, is it beneficial, why do people fast, you know. By the grace of God, I hope that you're going to tackle that in the next episode. See you in the next episode. Thank you for your time. May the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you and me and all our loved ones, not forevermore. Amen. Bye bye.